In the distant future, humanity had spread far beyond Earth, colonizing planets and moons across countless star systems. Among these colonies was New Haven, a bustling orbital station orbiting Earth. It was here that Alex Carter lived a quiet life as an engineer, fixing broken machinery and dreaming of adventure. He never imagined his ordinary existence would be shattered by events that would thrust him into the center of a galactic war. One evening, as Alex worked late in his workshop, a familiar voice called out to him. "Alex, we need to talk." Turning around, he saw Claire Bennett, his childhood friend, and one of the few people who still believed in his potential. Claire had joined the military years ago, leaving Alex behind on New Haven. Her sudden appearance worried him. Something was clearly wrong. "Claire, what are you doing here?" Alex asked, wiping grease from his hands. She looked tired, her face pale under the fluorescent lights of the workshop. Without saying a word, she pulled up a holographic display showing news reports of skirmishes breaking out near human territories. Alien ships, sleek and menacing, were attacking supply lines and outposts. The Caliph Empire, a ruthless alien faction known for enslaving weaker species, was expanding its reach. "We don't have much time," Claire said urgently. "The Caliph are coming for us next. Our intelligence suggests they're targeting Earth's colonies first. If we don't act now, billions could die." Alex shook his head, feeling overwhelmed. "What do you expect me to do? I'm just a mechanic. You're the soldier, not me." Claire grabbed his arm, her grip firm. "Listen to me. There's more to you than you realize. We've found something. Records from humanity's past. They speak of ancient humans who once ruled the stars, protecting weaker civilizations from threats like the Caliph. These records mention artifacts hidden across the galaxy, artifacts that could awaken abilities within certain individuals. Abilities like yours. My abilities." Alex laughed nervously. "I think you've been breathing too much space dust, Claire." But Claire wasn't joking. She explained that Commander Ryan Hayes, a respected leader in the human fleet, had assembled a small team to search for these artifacts. Their mission was dangerous and required someone with untapped potential, someone like Alex. At first, he refused, arguing that he wasn't cut out for such a task. But Claire reminded him of their shared history, of all the times they dreamed of making a difference when they were younger. "Remember those stories we used to tell each other?" she asked softly. "About being heroes, saving the galaxy. Well, this is it, Alex. This is our chance to actually make a difference." After hours of discussion, Alex finally agreed. The weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders, but deep down, he felt a spark of excitement. Maybe there was more to life than fixing machines after all. The next day, Alex met Commander Hayes aboard Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, a sleek vessel equipped for long journeys through uncharted space. Hayes was a tall man with sharp eyes and a commanding presence. He greeted Alex warmly but didn't sugarcoat the dangers ahead. "This mission will test everything you know about yourself," Hayes warned. "If you're not ready, stay so now." Alex hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "I'm ready," he said firmly, surprising even himself. As the ship launched into hyperspace, Alex stared out at the swirling colors of the cosmos. For the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. Little did he know, the journey ahead would change not only his destiny, but the fate of humanity itself. The journey through hyperspace was smooth, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in his chest. He sat in the ship's common area, staring at the holographic map projected on the table. The glowing lines and markers showed their destination, a derelict space station orbiting Proxima Centauri. According to Commander Hayes, it was one of the last known locations where traces of humanity's ancient past could be found. Claire joined him after a while, carrying 2 cups of steaming coffee. She handed one to Alex and sat down across from him. "You look like you're about to face a firing squad," she teased, trying to lighten the mood. Alex managed a weak smile. "I feel like I am." What if we get there and find nothing? Or worse, what if we run into trouble? Claire leaned forward, her expression serious now. We'll handle it. That's why we're here, to uncover the truth about our ancestors. And if things go south, well, we've got each other's backs. Her words brought some comfort, but Alex still felt out of place among the seasoned crew members. Everyone else seemed so confident, so prepared. He was just a mechanic who had never held a weapon in his life. How could he possibly contribute to something as monumental as this? When the Dawn Chaser Asterisk finally arrived at the space station, the sight was both awe-inspiring and eerie. The station floated silently in the void, its once gleaming surface now pockmarked with age and damage. Parts of it were dark, lifeless, while others flickered with faint lights, as though waiting for someone to return. Commander Hayes led the team inside, their footsteps echoing through empty corridors. Dust coated every surface, and the air smelled stale. As they explored deeper, they discovered rooms filled with strange devices and consoles covered in symbols no one recognized. It wasn't until Alex accidentally touched one of the consoles that everything changed. A sudden surge of energy coursed through him, making him stumble back. Bright light erupted from the console, projecting holograms into the air. The images showed scenes of battles, humans clad in shimmering armor, wielding weapons that defied logic, fighting against monstrous alien forces. There were also glimpses of peace, humans standing alongside other species, protecting them from harm. What is this? Alex stammered, his heart racing. Commander Hayes studied the holograms intently. This is proof of what we've been searching for. Humanity wasn't always weak or divided. We were protectors, warriors who stood against tyranny. These artifacts must have been left behind to guide us when the time came. As the holograms continued, Alex noticed something unusual. One image showed a massive device called the Aegis Core, described as a source of immense power capable of unlocking hidden potential within humans. The narration spoke of trials, tests designed to determine whether an individual was worthy of wielding such power. Suddenly, Alex felt a strange connection to the holograms, as though they were speaking directly to him. His mind buzzed with fragments of thoughts and emotions he couldn't explain. When the display ended, he found himself trembling, overwhelmed by what he'd seen. Claire placed a hand on his shoulder. "Are you okay?" I think so," Alex replied, though he wasn't sure. "It's like I can feel something inside me. Something waking up." Commander Hayes nodded thoughtfully. "That's exactly what we hoped for. The ancients believed certain individuals carried latent abilities passed down through generations. If you're experiencing changes, it means the process has already begun." Alex didn't know how to respond. On one hand, he felt excited. What if he really could become stronger, faster, better? But on the other hand, fear gnawed at him. What if he couldn't control whatever was happening to him? What if it consumed him instead? Before anyone could say more, Sarah Miller, the team's tactical expert, called out from another room. "You need to see this." Her voice was urgent, cutting through the tension. The group hurried over, finding Sarah standing near a sealed door. Embedded in the wall beside it was a panel glowing faintly with the same symbols they'd seen earlier. Hayes glanced at Alex. "Looks like your trial starts now." Alex swallowed hard, knowing there was no turning back. Whatever lay beyond that door would either confirm his worth or reveal his failure. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. The sealed door hissed open with a low groan, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with strange machinery. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. Alex hesitated at the threshold, unsure of what to expect. The air felt heavier here, charged with energy that made the hairs on his arms stand up. Commander Hayes gestured for him to step forward. "This is it," he said quietly. "Whatever happens next, trust yourself." Alex nodded, though his heart was pounding. He moved cautiously toward the pedestal, noticing intricate carvings etched into its surface, symbols similar to those they'd seen earlier. As he reached out to touch it, a surge of warmth spread through his fingertips, followed by a sharp jolt of energy that sent him stumbling backward. What the hell was that? Alex gasped, clutching his hand as if burned. But there was no pain, only a tingling sensation that seemed to pulse through his entire body. "You're fine," Claire reassured him, stepping closer. "Just breathe." Moments later, the room came alive. Panels on the walls lit up, and holographic projections surrounded them, showing images of humans performing incredible feats, leaping great distances, moving objects with their minds, and fighting with unmatched speed and precision. Then one projection focused on Alex himself, or rather, a version of him standing tall and confident, radiating power. A voice echoed in the chamber, deep and resonant. "Prove your worth, descendant of the war deities." Before anyone could react, the floor beneath Alex shifted, splitting apart to reveal a wide circular platform. Around him, sections of the wall opened, revealing mechanical constructs resembling humanoid figures. They began to move, their metallic limbs clanking as they stepped onto the platform. "Combat simulation," Sarah muttered, her eyes scanning the scene. "Looks like you're being tested, Alex." Alex froze, panic rising in his chest. "I've never fought anything in my life. How am I supposed to handle this?" Hayes placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Stay calm. Trust your instincts. Whatever abilities you've been given, now's the time to use them." With no other choice, Alex turned to face the first construct as it lunged at him. Acting purely on reflex, he sidestepped just in time, feeling a rush of adrenaline. To his surprise, his movements were faster than usual, almost instinctual. When the second construct attacked, Alex ducked under its arm and delivered a punch to its torso, sending it staggering back. "Did you see that?" Claire exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. "You're stronger than you think." Encouraged by her words, Alex pushed forward, dodging and striking with growing confidence. Each hit seemed to come easier, his body responding in ways he didn't understand. The constructs kept coming, but Alex found himself anticipating their moves, countering attacks before they even happened. As the final construct fell, the platform stopped moving, and the holograms faded away. Alex collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. His muscles ached, and sweat dripped from his forehead, but he felt different, stronger, more alive. "Well done," Commander Hayes said, offering a hand to help him up. "You passed the first trial. But why does it feel like this?" Alex asked, flexing his fingers. Even now, he could sense a lingering energy coursing through him, making his skin tingle. "It's the awakening process," Hayes explained. "Your body is adapting to the latent abilities within you. Over time, you'll learn to control them." Sarah approached, her expression analytical. "We should run some tests to monitor these changes. If we can understand how the Aegis core works, we might be able to prepare for whatever comes next." Claire stayed close to Alex, concern evident in her eyes. "Are you okay?" That looked intense. "I'm fine," Alex replied, though he wasn't entirely sure. Part of him was exhilarated by what he'd accomplished, but another part worried about where this path would lead. What if these powers consumed him? What if he lost control? Hayes broke the silence. "Rest while you can. Tomorrow, we'll begin training. The Caliph Empire won't wait for us to catch our breath, and neither should we." As the group left the chamber, Alex glanced back at the pedestal, its glow now dimmer than before. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Whatever trials lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain. He had to keep moving forward, for humanity's sake. Back on Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, tensions were high as the crew prepared for their next move. Alex spent most of his time in the training room, trying to understand the changes happening to him. His newfound strength and speed were undeniable, but controlling them was another matter entirely. Every session left him exhausted, both physically and mentally. Claire stayed by his side, offering encouragement whenever frustration got the better of him. "It's like learning a new skill," she told him one evening after a particularly grueling workout. "You didn't become an expert mechanic overnight, right? This is no different." Alex wiped the sweat from his brow and sighed. "I guess, but it's not just about getting stronger or faster. Sometimes I feel something inside me, like a voice telling me to push harder, go further. It scares me." Claire frowned, her concern evident. "Maybe you should talk to Commander Hayes about it. He might know more about what's happening to you." Before Alex could respond, an alarm blared through the ship, cutting off all conversation. The crew rushed to the bridge, where Sarah was already seated at the controls, her fingers flying over the console. On the main screen, several ships had appeared on their scanners, ships that didn't belong to the human fleet. "It's the Solari Syndicate," Hayes announced grimly, recognizing the insignia on the vessels. "They must have tracked us here." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The Solari Syndicate was infamous, a group of rogue humans who had allied themselves with the Caliph Empire. Their leader, Daniel Brooks, had once been a respected officer in the human military before betraying his own people for power and wealth. "What do they want?" Alex asked, though deep down, he already knew the answer. "They're after you," Hayes replied without hesitation. "Word of your awakening must have reached them. They'll try to capture you, or worse." Sarah quickly plotted a course to evade the incoming ships, but the Syndicate was faster. A hail came through, and Daniel's face appeared on the screen. His sharp features and cold eyes sent a wave of unease through the crew. "Hand over the boy, Hayes," Daniel said, his tone smooth but menacing. "He doesn't belong with you. He belongs with those who can truly harness his potential." "You'll never get your hands on him," Hayes shot back, his voice firm. "We're not afraid of you or your masters." Daniel smirked. "Then prepare to learn fear." The transmission ended, and moments later, the Syndicate ships opened fire. Explosions rocked Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, as the crew scrambled to defend themselves. Sarah worked tirelessly to maneuver the ship out of harm's way, while Claire manned the turrets, firing back with precision. Alex stood frozen, his mind racing. He wanted to help, but he didn't know how. Then something inside him stirred, the same energy he'd felt during the trials. Without thinking, he reached out toward the nearest console, and to everyone's astonishment, the ship's systems responded to his touch. Shields strengthened, engines surged, and the ship darted away from enemy fire with unnatural speed. "What just happened?" Sarah exclaimed, staring at Alex in disbelief. I don't know," Alex stammered, equally shocked. "I just thought about protecting us, and it happened." Hayes nodded approvingly. "That's the core working through you. You're becoming more attuned to it." But there was no time to celebrate. The Syndicate ships pursued relentlessly, cornering Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, near a field of debris. With nowhere left to run, Hayes made a bold decision. "Prepare for boarding action. We'll hold them off until we can jump to hyperspace." Armed with makeshift weapons, the crew braced themselves as the Syndicate forces breached the ship. Chaos erupted in the corridors as the two sides clashed. Alex found himself face to face with Daniel, who wielded a plasma blade with deadly skill. "You're wasting your potential," Daniel sneered, lunging at Alex. "Join me, and together, we'll rule the stars." Alex dodged the attack, his instincts kicking in. Summoning the energy within him, he countered with a burst of force that sent Daniel stumbling back. For the first time, Alex realized he wasn't just fighting for survival, he was fighting for humanity's future. As the battle raged on, Hayes managed to activate the hyperdrive, pulling the ship into the safety of hyperspace. The Syndicate ships vanished from view, leaving the crew battered but alive. Breathing heavily, Alex looked around at his teammates. They had survived, but the encounter left a bitter taste. The war was far from over, and Alex knew the road ahead would only grow darker. Still, for the first time, he felt ready to face it. After escaping the Solari Syndicate, the Dawn Chaser entered a region of space known as the Void Expanse. It was a desolate area filled with black holes, floating wreckage, and abandoned ships. The crew used this time to regroup and repair the damage from their recent battle. For Alex, it was a chance to reflect on what had happened and to confront the growing power within him. Commander Hayes called a meeting in the ship's common area. "We're close," he said, spreading a star map across the table. The records we found at the derelict station point to the Aegis core being hidden somewhere in this sector. But we're not alone. The Caliph Empire knows we're searching for it. And so does the Syndicate. Claire leaned forward, her expression serious. If they find it before us, they'll use its power to crush humanity. We can't let that happen. Alex nodded, though doubt lingered in his mind. But how do we even know where to look? This place is huge, and most of it's just empty. Hayes tapped a spot on the map. There's an old human fleet buried out here. Ships lost during the First Galactic War. If the core survived, it might be with them. Sarah raised an eyebrow. That's a big if. Those ships have been drifting for centuries. They could be torn apart by now. Then we better hope they're not, Hayes replied firmly. We'll start scanning for anything that matches the energy signature of the artifacts we've encountered so far. The next day, the crew began their search. Hours passed with no luck, and frustration mounted. Just as hope seemed to fade, Sarah spotted something unusual, a cluster of ships partially swallowed by a massive asteroid field. Their hulls were battered and scarred, but faint lights flickered inside some of them. That's it, Hayes said, his voice tinged with excitement. Prepare for an away mission. Alex joined Claire and Hayes as they boarded one of the derelict vessels. The air inside was stale, and the corridors were dark except for the occasional glow of emergency lights. As they explored, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. Shadows moved in the corners of his vision, and strange whispers echoed through the halls. In the ship's command center, they discovered a dormant AI construct named EOS. When activated, it projected a holographic form resembling a woman cloaked in flowing robes. Her voice was calm but carried an undeniable weight. "You seek the Aegis core," EOS stated, her gaze locking onto Alex. "Few have come this far. Fewer still are worthy." Alex stepped forward, his heart racing. "We needed to stop the Caliph Empire, to protect humanity." EOS studied him silently before speaking again. "To claim the core, you must prove your worth. Face the trials of strength, wisdom, and resolve. Fail, and you will perish." Before anyone could protest, the floor beneath them shifted, splitting open to reveal a vast chamber below. A staircase descended into darkness, leading to an unknown challenge. Hayes turned to Alex. "This is your path. We'll stay here and keep watch, but the trials are yours to face alone." Alex hesitated, fear gnawing at him. "What if I'm not ready?" Claire placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've come this far. Trust yourself." Taking a deep breath, Alex descended into the chamber. The walls lit up as he walked, revealing intricate carvings depicting scenes of humanity's past. At the center of the room stood 3 pedestals, each glowing with a different color: red, blue, and green. A voice echoed around him, deep and resonant. "Step forth, descendant of the war deities. Prove your strength." The first trial began without warning. A wave of energy surged toward Alex, forcing him to dodge. Constructs emerged from the shadows, attacking with relentless force. Drawing on the power within him, Alex fought back, his movements faster and more precise than ever before. Each blow landed with precision, and soon the constructs fell silent. "Strength proven," the voice declared. "Now, demonstrate wisdom." The second trial tested his mind. Puzzles appeared in the air, shifting and changing rapidly. Alex focused, letting instinct guide him. Piece by piece, He solved the challenges, earning the approval of the unseen judge. Finally, the third trial tested his resolve. Images of destruction and despair flooded his mind. Visions of humanity falling to the Caliph Empire. Pain seared through him. But Alex refused to give in. He thought of Claire, Hayes, and everyone counting on him. With a roar, he pushed through the illusion, breaking free. Resolve proven, the voice announced. You are worthy. As the trials ended, the pedestals merged into a single beam of light, revealing the Aegis core. Alex approached it cautiously, feeling its immense power calling to him. When he touched it, warmth spread through his body, completing the connection. Back upstairs, Claire and Hayes greeted him with relief. You did it, Claire said, smiling. But Alex knew the hardest part was yet to come. The core was theirs, but so was the responsibility to use it wisely. And somewhere out there, enemies waited, ready to take it by force. With the Aegis core safely aboard Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, the crew prepared to leave the void expanse. But Alex could feel the weight of what they had taken. The core's energy pulsed faintly in his hands, and every time he touched it, he felt a surge of power, sharp, overwhelming, and intoxicating. It was as if the artifact was alive, whispering to him, urging him to embrace its full potential. Back on the ship, Claire noticed the change in him almost immediately. You're pushing yourself too hard, she said one evening as Alex practiced controlling his newfound abilities in the training room. He had been lifting heavy crates with ease, moving faster than anyone thought possible, and even deflecting simulated attacks without breaking a sweat. I'm fine, Alex replied, though his voice betrayed his exhaustion. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his hands trembled slightly when he lowered the last crate. I just need to get used to this. Claire crossed her arms, her expression firm. This isn't normal, Alex. You've changed so much in such a short time. What happens if you lose control? What happens if the core consumes you? Alex didn't answer. He wanted to believe Claire was overreacting. But deep down, he shared her fears. Every night, he dreamed of ancient warriors calling out to him, their voices growing louder, more insistent. They urged him to dominate, to rule, to become something greater than human. Sometimes, he woke up drenched in sweat, unsure whether those dreams were warnings or temptations. Commander Hayes called a meeting to discuss their next steps. We can't stay here, he began, glancing at the star map displayed on the table. The Caliph Empire is still hunting us, and now that we have the core, they'll stop at nothing to take it back. Sarah nodded, pointing to a cluster of coordinates marked in red. Their fleet is gathering near the edge of human space. If we don't act soon, they'll launch a full-scale invasion. We need to strike first, Hayes continued, but not recklessly. We'll use the core's power to fortify our defenses and rally allies. Humanity has always been stronger together. Alex frowned, uneasy about the plan. Are we sure using the core is safe? What if it makes things worse? Hayes met his gaze. It's a risk we have to take. Without the core, we don't stand a chance against the Caliph. With it, we might finally turn the tide. Despite his reservations, Alex agreed to help. Over the next few days, he worked closely with Sarah to channel the core's energy into the ship's systems. Shields became impenetrable, engines reached speeds previously unimaginable, and weapons grew more powerful. Yet each use of the core left Alex weaker, his body trembling under the strain. One night, after another grueling session, Claire found him slumped against the wall of the training room. You're killing yourself, she said softly, kneeling beside him. You can't keep going like this. I don't have a choice, Alex muttered, his voice hoarse. If I don't push through, everyone dies. Is that what you want? No, Claire admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. But I also don't want to lose you. There has to be another way. Alex shook his head, unable to respond. He knew she was right, but there was no turning back now. The core had become a part of him, and abandoning it felt impossible. The breaking point came during a routine test of the ship's new capabilities. As Alex focused on amplifying the shields, a sudden wave of pain shot through his body. He collapsed to the floor, gasping for air, while alarms blared throughout the ship. Hayes rushed in, followed by Claire and Sarah. "What happened?" Hayes demanded. "The core. It's too much," Alex managed to say, clutching his chest. "I can't handle it anymore." For the first time, doubt spread among the crew. Were they asking too much of him? Could humanity's salvation come at the cost of Alex's life? As Alex lay there, weak and vulnerable, he realized the truth. The core wasn't just a tool, it was a test. And passing it meant finding balance between power and restraint, strength and compassion. If he couldn't master that balance, all their efforts would be for nothing. But before he could dwell on it further, the ship shuddered violently. An urgent message came through. The Caliph fleet had found them. The battle they'd been dreading was upon them, and Alex would have to face it, ready or not. The Caliph fleet loomed on the horizon, a swarm of sleek, menacing ships bristling with weapons. Alarms blared across Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, as the crew scrambled to prepare for battle. Alex stood at the center of the chaos, his body still weak from overusing the Aegis core. Despite his exhaustion, he could feel the artifact's energy coursing through him, urging him to act. "We're outnumbered," Sarah said, her voice tense as she monitored the enemy movements on the tactical display. "If we don't move now, they'll surround us." Commander Hayes nodded grimly. "Then we fight." "Alex, are you ready?" Alex hesitated, gripping the railing beside him. His head throbbed, and his legs felt like lead, but he forced himself to straighten up. "I have to be." Claire stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone. We're with you every step of the way." Hayes gave the order, and Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, surged toward the enemy fleet. The first wave of attacks hit hard, shaking the ship violently. Explosions lit up the void as Sarah maneuvered them into position, dodging plasma blasts and retaliating with precision strikes. But the Caliph ships were relentless, their numbers overwhelming. As the battle raged outside, Alex focused on channeling the core's power. He closed his eyes, letting the energy flow through him. When he opened them again, everything seemed sharper. The hum of the engines, the faint vibrations in the floor, even the distant shouts of the crew. It was as if the core had heightened his awareness, connecting him to the ship itself. "Alex," Claire called out urgently, "we need your help." He rushed to the bridge, where Hayes was issuing orders. "Their flagship is leading the assault. If we can disable it, the rest of the fleet will falter." Alex nodded, understanding what needed to be done. With the core's energy guiding him, he reached out mentally, sensing with the ship's systems. Shields flared brighter, absorbing hits that would have torn through the hull. Weapons charged faster, firing with unmatched accuracy. For a moment, it felt like they might actually stand a chance. But then, disaster struck. A massive explosion rocked the ship as a Caliph missile breached their defenses. Sparks flew, and smoke filled the air. The crew scrambled to contain the damage, but panic began to spread. "They're targeting the engine core," Sarah shouted. "If they hit us again, we're done." Hayes turned to Alex, his expression grave. "It's time. Use the core, fully." Alex froze, fear gripping him. He knew what Hayes meant. To unleash the core's full potential would mean tapping into its raw, unfiltered power, a risk that could destroy him. But there was no other choice. Closing his eyes, Alex let go of all restraint. The core responded instantly, flooding him with energy so intense it felt like fire running through his veins. His vision blurred, and his body screamed in protest, but he pushed through the pain. Reaching out with his mind, he directed the core's power outward, enveloping the ship in a shimmering barrier of light. The Caliph missiles collided harmlessly against the barrier, their impacts reduced to harmless sparks. Bolstered by this newfound strength, The Dawn Chaser launched a devastating counterattack, disabling several enemy ships in quick succession. The tide of the battle began to turn. However, the strain on Alex was unbearable. His knees buckled, and blood trickled from his nose as he fought to maintain control. Through sheer willpower, he held on long enough to cripple the Caliph flagship, sending it spiraling out of formation. The remaining ships scattered, retreating into the depths of space. When the battle ended, the crew erupted into cheers, but Alex collapsed to the floor, unconscious. Claire knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. "He saved us," she whispered. "But at what cost?" Hayes placed a hand on her shoulder. "He's still alive. That's a start." Though victorious, the crew knew the war was far from over. The Caliph Empire wouldn't stay away forever, and Alex's condition remained precarious. As the Dawn Chaser limped toward safety, the weight of their journey settled heavily on everyone's shoulders. Humanity had won a battle, but the cost of wielding such immense power was becoming clearer with each passing day. For days after the battle, Alex drifted in and out of consciousness. The crew did everything they could to help him recover, but his body was battered from channeling the Aegis Corps' immense power. Claire stayed by his side almost constantly, her worry evident in the way she adjusted the blankets covering him or gently wiped sweat from his forehead. "He risked everything for us," she said quietly one night to Commander Hayes, who stood nearby. "What if he doesn't wake up?" Hayes sighed, leaning against the wall of the medical bay. Alex knew the risks when he agreed to this mission. He's strong, stronger than any of us realized. If anyone can pull through, it's him. But even Hayes couldn't hide his concern. The Corps had saved them in the fight against the Caliph fleet, but at a terrible cost. It was clear now that using its full potential came with consequences no one fully understood. When Alex finally opened his eyes, the room was dimly lit, and Claire sat beside him, dozing in her chair. Her head snapped up as he stirred, relief washing over her face. "You're awake," she whispered, gripping his hand tightly. "Yeah," Alex croaked, his voice weak. His throat felt dry, and every muscle in his body ached. "What happened?" "You used the Corps to protect us," Claire explained, her tone soft but laced with guilt. "You stopped the Caliph fleet, but it nearly killed you." Memories of the battle flooded back. The blinding energy, the searing pain, the feeling of losing control. Alex shuddered, closing his eyes again. "I don't know how much more I can take," he admitted. "Every time I use the Corps, it feels like it's tearing me apart." Claire squeezed his hand reassuringly. "We'll figure this out together. You don't have to carry this burden alone." Over the next few days, Alex slowly regained his strength, though shadows lingered under his eyes. The crew held a meeting to discuss their next steps. They were safe for now, hiding in an uncharted region of space, but everyone knew the reprieve wouldn't last long. "We need to prepare for another attack," Sarah said, pointing to a map of nearby star systems. "The Caliph won't stay away forever, and if they regroup, they'll come back stronger." Hayes nodded. "Which is why we need allies. Humanity can't win this war alone. We've seen what Alex can do with the Corps, but relying on one person isn't sustainable. We need to rally other species to our cause." Alex frowned, sitting up straighter. "How are we supposed to do that? Most species see humans as weak. They won't trust us." "Then we'll show them otherwise," Hayes replied firmly. "You've proven that humanity still has the spirit of the war deities within us. If we can inspire others to stand with us, we might actually have a chance." The plan was risky, but it was their only hope. Over the following weeks, the Dawn Chaser traveled to distant colonies and outposts, spreading word of their victory against the Caliph. At first, many were skeptical, dismissing their claims as exaggerations, but Alex's presence changed minds. When he demonstrated his abilities, lifting heavy objects effortlessly or moving faster than the eye could follow, people began to believe. One particularly tense encounter occurred on a mining colony inhabited by both humans and an alien species called the Valens. The Valens had suffered greatly under Caliph rule and were initially hostile. However, Alex shared stories of his own struggles and the sacrifices made by his crew. Slowly, their distrust turned to curiosity, then admiration. "You fight not just for yourselves, but for others," said the Valen leader, a towering figure with shimmering blue skin. "Perhaps there is truth to your words." By the time they left the colony, the Valens had pledged support, promising ships and warriors to aid in the coming conflict. Other species followed suit, inspired by Alex's courage and the vision of unity Hayes presented. As alliances grew, so did Alex's understanding of the Core's true purpose. It wasn't just about power, it was about connection. Each time he used it, he felt closer to those around him, their hopes and fears intertwining with his own. For the first time, he began to see a future where humanity didn't stand alone but alongside others as equals. Yet, despite these victories, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that greater challenges lay ahead. The Caliph Empire wouldn't fall easily, and the burden of leadership weighed heavily on him. Still, surrounded by friends who believed in him, he found the strength to keep going. Together, they would face whatever came next, not as individuals, but as a united force determined to reclaim the stars. The final assault on the Caliph Empire was set to begin. After months of rallying allies and preparing their forces, Alex and the crew of Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, stood at the forefront of an unprecedented coalition. Humans, Valens, and other species united under one banner, determined to end the tyranny that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Alex stood on the bridge, staring at the massive fleet assembled before them. Ships of all shapes and sizes filled the void, their lights twinkling like stars against the darkness. It was a sight he never thought possible, a testament to humanity's resilience and the power of unity. Yet, despite the hope swelling in his chest, fear lingered in the back of his mind. This battle would decide everything. Commander Hayes approached him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've done more than anyone could have asked, Alex. Today, we finish this." Alex nodded, though his voice betrayed his nerves. "I just hope it's enough." "It will be," Claire chimed in, joining them. Her expression was calm but resolute. "We've come too far to doubt ourselves now." As the fleet moved toward the Caliph homeworld, tension mounted. The enemy's defenses were formidable. Massive orbital stations armed with devastating weapons, swarms of fighter ships, and legions of ground troops ready to defend their empire to the last breath. But Alex knew they couldn't falter. This wasn't just about defeating the Caliph. It was about proving that humanity, and all oppressed species, could rise above fear and oppression. The battle began with a deafening roar as both sides exchanged fire. Explosions lit up the void, and debris from destroyed ships floated aimlessly through space. Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, led the charge, its enhanced systems powered by the Aegis core making it nearly untouchable. Alex focused all his energy on maintaining the core's connection, amplifying the ship's shields and engines while coordinating attacks across the fleet. Despite their initial success, the Caliph fought fiercely. Their flagship, a monstrous vessel bristling with cannons, unleashed a barrage of missiles that overwhelmed several Allied ships. Panic spread among the coalition, threatening to break their resolve. "We can't hold them off forever," Sarah shouted from her station, her fingers flying over the controls. "Their numbers are too great." Alex clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He turned to Hayes. "Let me handle the flagship. I'll draw their attention so the rest of the fleet can regroup." Hayes hesitated, his concern evident. "Are you sure? If anything happens to you, I'm the only one who can do this." Alex interrupted, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "Trust me." With the commander's reluctant approval, Alex took control of a small strike craft equipped with experimental weapons designed to penetrate the flagship's defenses. As he launched into the fray, Claire's voice crackled through the comms. "Be careful, Alex. We're counting on you." "I know," he replied, gripping the controls tightly. "I won't let you down." Navigating through the chaos, Alex reached the flagship and activated the core's full potential. Energy surged around him, creating a blinding aura that shielded his craft from enemy fire. Using bursts of speed and precision maneuvers, he disabled the flagship's primary weapon systems, leaving it vulnerable to the Coalition's counterattack. But the strain on his body was immense. Blood dripped from his nose, and his vision blurred as pain coursed through him. Still, he pushed forward, channeling every ounce of strength he had left. When the flagship finally succumbed to the combined assault, the tide of the battle shifted dramatically. Cheers erupted across the fleet as the Caliph forces began to retreat. Exhausted but triumphant, Alex returned to Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, collapsing into Claire's arms. Though battered and broken, he smiled weakly. "We did it," he whispered. The victory was hard won, but the war wasn't over yet. Even as celebrations broke out among the Coalition, Alex knew the true challenge lay ahead. Rebuilding what had been lost and ensuring peace endured. With the Aegis core safely secured and humanity's legacy restored, he vowed to protect the galaxy, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian. In the aftermath of the battle, the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. The Caliph Empire, once a symbol of oppression and fear, had fallen. Its leaders were captured, its fleets dismantled, and its enslaved populations freed. For the first time in generations, hope replaced despair among the stars. Alex stood on the observation deck of Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, gazing out at the wreckage of the Caliph homeworld. The sight was sobering, a reminder of the cost of war. Though victorious, he felt no sense of triumph, only a deep weariness that settled into his bones. The Aegis core rested securely in a containment unit nearby, its glow dimmer now, as if it too understood the fight was over. Claire joined him, leaning against the railing. "You did it, Alex. You saved billions of lives." He shook his head slowly. "Not just me. Everyone played a part. I couldn't have done this without you, Hayes, Sarah, everyone." Claire smiled softly. "Maybe. But you were the one who carried the weight of the core. You reminded us all what humanity is capable of when we stand together." Commander Hayes entered the room, his usual stern demeanor softened by pride. "The Coalition wants to honor you as a hero. They're calling you the war deity of humanity, among other things." Alex chuckled weakly. "I'm no deity, just a mechanic who got dragged into something bigger than himself." Hayes crossed his arms, nodding thoughtfully. "That's exactly why they respect you. You didn't seek power, you used it to protect others. That's a lesson the galaxy won't forget anytime soon." As celebrations erupted across the Coalition, plans were made to rebuild what had been destroyed. The liberated species worked alongside humans to restore colonies, repair infrastructure, and forge new alliances. It was clear that humanity's role in the galaxy had changed forever. No longer seen as weak or divided, humans were now regarded as protectors and peacemakers, guardians of the stars. But for Alex, the journey wasn't about titles or recognition. It was about understanding his place in the universe. The core had awakened something within him, but it had also taught him the importance of balance. Power without compassion led to destruction. Strength tempered by empathy created lasting change. One evening, as the crew gathered in the common area, Claire raised a toast. "To Alex, and to all of us. We've faced impossible odds and come out stronger because of it. Here's to a brighter future for everyone." The room erupted in cheers, but Alex remained quiet, lost in thought. He knew the galaxy still faced challenges. There would always be those who sought domination and chaos. But with allies like the ones beside him, he believed humanity could rise to meet them. Before leaving the Coalition's headquarters, Alex approached the council overseeing the Aegis Core's preservation. "This belongs to everyone," he said firmly. It's not mine to keep. Make sure it's used wisely, to protect, not to control." The council agreed, promising to safeguard the artifact in a neutral sanctuary accessible only to those deemed worthy. As Alex walked away, he felt a strange sense of peace. The core was no longer a burden. It was a legacy, entrusted to those wise enough to wield it responsibly. Back aboard Asterisk, the Dawn Chaser Asterisk, Alex stared out at the stars once more. His body still bore the scars of battle, and his mind carried memories he'd never forget. Yet, for the first time in a long while, he felt truly alive. He had started this journey as an ordinary man, but he ended it knowing he had made a difference, not just for humanity, but for countless others. "Where do we go from here?" Claire asked, standing beside him. Alex smiled faintly. "Forward. There's still so much to do, so many people who need help. And wherever we go, we'll face it together." As the ship launched into hyperspace, heading toward uncharted territories, Alex felt a spark of excitement. The galaxy was vast and full of possibilities, and he was ready to explore them, all while keeping its fragile peace intact. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain: humanity's story among the stars was far from over.